The Bronco is back. So today you are getting an everyday Ford technician's first thoughts and impressions on what you're actually getting out of this Ford Bronco. What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, my name's Mason. I'm a Senior Master Tech with Ford. If you enjoy the content today, make sure you go smash that like button for me and make sure you press that red subscribe button with bell notifications on so you don't miss out on any new content I have coming out. All right, we are finally getting our first full-size Ford Broncos in at the dealer. I feel like we've been waiting on this for like 10 years. It was like 2015, it feels like, whenever they said that they were coming back out with the Ford Bronco. But after a long wait period, we are finally getting some in here at the dealers. I've been very excited to take a look and drive and check these new Ford Broncos out. Of course, there are going to be things that I absolutely love about this Bronco, and there's going to be things that I absolutely hate, especially being the one that has to work on them. So today we're going to be looking at a four-door full-size Bronco. There's actually going to be two different ones that you're going to see B-roll and video of. That's just because those are the best two looking ones we have here on the lot. One is a Big Bend edition. It has aftermarket wheels with, I think, 35-inch tires on it. The other is a Badlands edition, and I just want to go ahead and get it out of the way up front. This thing, we as soon as it hit the dealer, as soon as it rolled off the truck, we immediately put 37-inch tires on it. That is why it looks so much different than maybe what you were expecting to see. The 37-inch tires really made a whole big difference in the look. It came stock from the factory with 35s, but you know, it's just not good enough. If we got 2 more inches in the wheel well, why not just go on and fill it up? So we put 37s on this Bronco. So we put the 37s on it, really expecting it to scrub, but to our surprise, it really doesn't scrub any worse than the F-150s and the F-250s do with 35s and 37s on them. A little bit at a hard, all the way maxed out turn. But other than that, it really tucked them really nice. It sits pretty level just like it is. So for the time being, we're actually not going to put a leveling kit on it. Now, why this thing has all kinds of stuff that I would love to tell you guys about and explain and talk about, I'm just not going to be able to get to all of them. So what I'm going to do is I've comprised a list of things that I really like and things that I really don't like, pros and cons list, if you will. Since, like the title said, this is from a mechanic's point of view, I didn't clickbait you. I am an actual everyday mechanic. The things I'm really looking for to put something in the pros list or the cons list is affordability, reliability, and usability. These are the 3 things that's going to get something in the pros list or get something into the cons list. Since we like to eat our vegetables before we eat our dessert, because you always want to save the best for last, we're going to start with the cons list. Our very first con, the #1 thing that I didn't like, as soon as I popped the hood on this thing, my OCD just like took off. Like, it just ran rampant. There's just junk everywhere. It's getting to be like this on most every vehicle because I guess they just have so much to pack under there. They can't just make it look nice and neat, but this one just really looked terrible. You'll see here in the video that it's just wires and hoses and just junk everywhere. What I do feel like they could have done to make this look a lot better whenever you pop the hood is they could have made a real big nice engine cover to go over the top of this engine. But they didn't. They just left everything up there. So that is probably the #1 thing that I don't like about this Ford Bronco. It's just how cluttered the engine bay is. I'm the type of person that when I pop the hood on my vehicle, I like everything to be real nice, neat, tucked. I don't want to see all those loose wires and big harnesses running everywhere. I just don't like that. I like it to be more clean cut under my hood. Coming in at our second con, there isn't any LS engine swap kits for this Bronco yet. I don't know how somebody has not manufactured one yet, but there isn't any out there. So if you were planning on buying a $50,000 Bronco and then pulling the engine out and putting the LS in it, you're gonna have to custom fab everything yourself because they just don't make one yet. So our third con, the third thing I seen that I didn't like, And maybe this is just me, maybe this isn't everybody, but I feel like the whole GOAT mode thing with like the different modes for different terrain, and like it's just overcomplicated. Like they didn't have that back in the 80s, and those Broncos did just fine on any kind of terrain. I don't understand why we need to be able to change that much. It's just confusing and complicated, and what ends up happening whenever I drive one is I don't actually even use any of them. I don't change it, I don't touch any of it. So I just feel like it's overcomplicated and really just unnecessary. This thing doesn't need to change all that much to go from the highway to a trail. I don't feel like, you know, that it should be capable of doing that without swapping a GOAT mode. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. So our fourth for our bad list here. If you've watched any of my other review videos, I've done one on a Power Boost, I've done one on a Bronco. They'll be, you know, coming in up here somewhere, I guess. You'll know if you watch those that I do not like the integrated master cylinder that Ford has come out with, and I guess it's on all of them. Kind of thought it was just on the F-150s when I first seen them. Then I seen the Bronco Sports, it had the same thing. Now I see the Bronco, it has the same thing. I guess they're just gonna put it on all of them, but I don't like it. I feel like it's a big blob of junk just sitting up there on the firewall. You got your ABS module, your hydraulic control unit, and your master cylinder and reservoir all built into one, and it's just all up there. I looked up the price on it. They're outrageously expensive for that unit. You can't buy the stuff separate. I think it was like $2 or $3 grand for it. So if that tears up, if your master cylinder goes out, you're therefore then going to have to replace the module, the HCU, and the reservoir. You're going to have to replace everything because they made it all together, and you're going to have to pay an outrageously sum of money. So I don't like that. I don't feel like it looks good. I wish they would have just tucked everything up under down on the frame rail like we've been doing for years with absolutely no problems, but hey, good job, engineers. So another thing I didn't really like about this Ford Bronco, and it doesn't really even have anything to do with the Bronco itself, it's just the fact of that whenever you look at the different models and packages to try to see which one that you want to buy, they're very confusing. There's like 30 of them, it feels like. They're all different. They have different stuff with the, it comes with one, might not come with this one, could come with this one. It's very confusing. They could have simplified that process a lot more by just following the same packages that we've been having on the F-150s, like the Lariat, XLT, Platinum, that kind of thing. They could have made it real simple by doing that, but instead they come up with brand new names for all kind of off-road packages that don't make no sense. Like, what is a big bend? What does that even, what the hell does that even mean? So our last con, and this is something that I've just been reading about. I actually have not seen it or heard it myself. This is there's some early reports of a lot of customers having a loud whistling noise from the hood seal, or what Ford says is it is being caused by the hood seal that is in between the hood and the grill, the rubber seal there, that apparently somehow wind is catching up under that. It speeds over 30 miles an hour and it's making a real loud whistling noise apparently. So something wrong with the rubber seal there. They just published a technical service bulletin about this issue, telling us technicians that if we run across this, not to attempt to fix. Don't try to fix it. Engineering department's working on an updated design seal that goes there in between the hood and the grill to fix this problem. So not that big of a deal, but it's aggravating. You know, you buy a brand new vehicle, you pay all that money, you don't want to hear whistling noises going down the road and whatnot. Now, whether it actually is that seal that's causing it or not, I don't know. I've just read about this, so I figured, you know, what better time to mention it than in a Bronco review video, hell. All right, so now we're past the meat and potatoes. It's time to give you the dessert, the pros list, the things I really liked about this Ford Bronco. The number one thing is the engines that they offer in it. They offer the 2.7 liter EcoBoost, which some of y'all might hate on, but I really like the 2.7 EcoBoost. I feel like it has been the most underrated engine that Ford has made in a while. They don't really have a lot of issues. They make insane amount of power and they get great fuel economy. So I don't see how you could go wrong with a 2.7. We've been doing them for 4 or 5 years now. We have not had issues, so I like the 2.7. The second engine being the 2.3 liter, not quite as good. They have had some issues with head gaskets in the past, but I'm sure they fixed them by now. 2.3 is also a very, very capable engine. It is very strong and gets really good fuel economy. And that's the big push with newer stuff, is power and fuel economy. What more could you really want? In my opinion, you want reliability, and with the 2.7 liter EcoBoost, I feel like you get that reliability. Now, the 2.3, it's a decent engine. I'm sure that they've fixed most of the things that were wrong with them that I've worked on in the past by now. But that said, I kind of got a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth about the 2.3 after seeing it, you know, tearing up in so many of the Explorers over the past few years. Second big pro, and this one, like, most people probably just overlook the fact this thing has the 10-speed transmission. It has the transmission that is in the F-150s, I believe. I think it's the 10R80, actually. Yeah, it's the 10R80. I'm pretty positive on that. It's either a 10R80 or a 10R60, but I'm pretty sure behind the 2.7, it is the 10R80. The 10R80 is slept on. It really improved the power and the fuel economy of both the 5.0, 3.5, and 2.7 whenever they put it in the F-150 in 2018. Man, I love this transmission. Some of you might not like the way it shifts. It takes some getting used to. It's not something, it doesn't shift like the old 6-speeds does. It's a much different feel, but it really helps with the power. With all those gears, you're able to keep the motor at the peak power, the peak torque curve, or whatever the hell you want to call it. It keeps it in the power curve for longer because it has shorter gear ratios and it's able to keep it at the engine at a certain RPM. I love this transmission. I don't feel like they've had that many issues. I've seen some issues with the 10 speeds, you know, blowing snap rings off and all whenever they first come out, but I think they fixed most of that stuff by now. So this is a very solid transmission. I believe, I really like it. Let me know down in the comments if you do or don't like it. Ford's actually been doing this for a little while now, I believe. I think they come out with it back on the Rangers. They added this mode in there. It's called a crawler mode. It allows you to set basically a limiter on your speed for, like, if you're going down a trail, like say you just, you don't want to go over 15 miles an hour, you're just creeping through a trail, you're going hunting, or I don't know what you do on the trail, I'm not with you, but you don't want to go faster than 15 miles per hour. This thing has a crawler mode that allows you to limit the speed to whatever you want and drive that trail. You can put it on the floor and it's only going to run 15 miles an hour if that's what you set it at. So that's a cool feature. I really like that. If you're just kind of creeping, you just want to creep by on somebody. Maybe you just set your speed limiter where you don't have to watch the gauge there in front of you. So another one that's real confusing. It's very confusing, and I'm really not even sure if I got it all right here, but this thing comes with Bilstein suspension, which is an aftermarket suspension company. They make really high quality coilovers, shocks, and stuff like that. Some of these models are supposed to come with Bilstein shocks or suspension parts, whatever. Some of the models are and some of them aren't. I'm not really sure on which ones are. I know the Badlands, the Sasquatch, and possibly the Outer Banks. I couldn't really get a definitive answer on that just because the damn packages on these things are so confusing. I couldn't really figure it out. But that is a huge improvement there for suspension, just to have those Bilstein shocks. The only downside to it is when they tear up, you're going to have to replace them with the same Bilstein shocks, which are going to be more expensive than probably what's on the base model Broncos. Hopefully they don't go out for a long time, because Bilstein does make some really high quality stuff. So I also want to mention here that this thing, and if you watched my last video on the Bronco Sport, you know that I was really bashing on them for not putting coilovers on the rear of the car. Even though it's a front wheel drive car, they could have put coilovers. It wouldn't have been that hard. It wouldn't have been that difficult to design it like that, but they didn't. I said in that video that I hope to see coilovers on the Bronco, and I probably could have looked it up and found out, but I just wanted to wait and see. It does have coilovers on the front and rear, which is a huge deal to me, especially if you're going to be going off-road in this thing. Coilovers all the way around. Just overall, the look of this thing, the outside and the interior, they really done a good job. I feel like they really spent a lot of time on the interior, just getting everything exactly looking and matching, and just everything kind of clashes together. It goes together. I don't know why I say clash there, but everything just kind of flows real smooth in there together, and I just really like the way this thing looks. These things looked, what the hell is wrong with me? I really like the way that these things look. There we go. So some small pros that we put on this list. We got front and rear diff lock, which is something pretty new for Fords especially. We have not had front differential locks on any of the F-150s that I can ever remember, or anything else. I don't believe we've ever had a front end differential locker, but we do own the Bronco, which is a huge thing. If you want to lock this thing in and lock the front end up as well as the rear end, you're in some real bad stuff and you got to get out of there. Lock the front differential and the rear differential and you should be able to do it. So another thing that I really liked about this Bronco is that the accessory aftermarket and Ford accessory market for this thing is absolutely insane. I really think that's why it took so long for Ford to come out with it, because they wanted to develop all these crazy aftermarket accessories. So that is a really cool thing. You can buy almost anything you want for this: light bars, roof racks, leveling kits, lift kits. I mean, literally, if you can think of it, they probably make it for this Ford Bronco. Yeah, that's a really big thing there, just having that huge aftermarket community that is making all of these accessories. And the majority of all of these accessories are Ford approved. They will not void your warranty by installing them on this Bronco. So this Ford Bronco also, it rides like a Cadillac. I was expecting like that Jeep kind of ride, like if you jank the steering wheel, you're going to flip a million times down the road. That's how I feel when I drive a Jeep. I did not experience that in this Bronco. It rides really smooth. Coilovers all the way around, like I said, and it rides really good. I had one with a hard top. No wind noise really. Soft top, a little bit of wind noise, but I even think it's better than the newer Jeeps at wind noise. You just don't really hear much. It's all sealed down really well. Putting this on the list just to put it on here, but removable doors and tops. I really like the fact that they bolt the doors and all bolt on. They send you a cool little tool kit that you can use to take the doors and all off. And the number one thing I like about the removable doors is that the mirrors are not attached to them. So the mirrors are not attached to the doors. That means they stay on the body. So you remove the doors, mirror's still there, so you don't have to, look behind you all the time. So our last pro for this Ford Bronco, and I'm really honestly surprised that it is on the pro list. It's usually on the con list if I'm making a pros con for new vehicles. That is the price of these things. Man, they really, I don't know how they did it, because, especially with COVID and everything shut down, but the prices on these Broncos are very competitive, which is saying a lot compared to some of the F-150s. You're talking about $80,000 trucks. At the very least, you got the absolute base model, and these are for the 4-doors, base model Ford Bronco. You would be spending $29,995, which is incredibly cheap for a 4-wheel drive SUV. On the high end, now I am excluding the first edition Broncos because they didn't make many of them. Those were more expensive, but on the high end, I think this is like the Big Bend or Outer Banks Sasquatch. I don't know, this is what I'm talking about. It's so damn confusing. I cannot remember any of these names. I don't know, it's a Sasquatch, whatever package, it's the top of the line. You're gonna be spending $48,475 for it, sticker price. Well, your dealer's probably gonna upsell it to you, but if you have a good dealer, they won't charge you over sticker price. I would never, ever pay over sticker price for one of these Broncos. Just wait a while, they'll eventually come down. So to wrap this video up, in conclusion, what do I think about the Ford Bronco? I think they're freaking awesome. Man, I really sounded cheesy when I just said that. I think they're great. They are way better than the Jeeps, in my opinion. I would buy a Ford Bronco all day long before I bought a Jeep. So come see your local Ford dealer, or hell, come see us if you want to. All right, so that's gonna wrap this video up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, please go down there and like the video. It really helps me out when I see you guys liking these videos. And it's also better for that YouTube algorithm or something that I hear people talking about all the time. If you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed. And other than that, peace out. See you guys in the next one. Yes, the kind you eat. Jesus Christ. What else kind of food you gonna cook? You wanna be on my YouTube video? Yeah. It's recording right now. Cool. All right, I gotta go. I'm in the middle of it. All right, love you. Bye.